G'day golfers. Ever found yourself redirecting blame and making excuses after having an absolute shocker on a golf course? I know that I have. Range was closed, I was a little cold, didn't warm up, I hit it in those 3 old divots. Then we have the podcast for you. We focus on how to fundamentally own your swing. Strike it pure and consistently shoot in the 70s. Be it if you're a weekend hack, retired and playing daily, a school phenom or a tour professional. We present and discuss facts and physics pertaining to golf, trying to keep our ego and opinion at bay. We dispel myths such as keep your head down, bend your knees, or my all-time favourite, game improvement irons. So stop drinking that mythical Kool-Aid and have a sip of ours. I think you'll find it both inspiring and refreshing. I'm Scott Young, founder of Swing, PGA professional and ex-tour player. Welcome to Pivot the Path. G'day golfers and welcome to Pivot the Path. Masters Week, first major of the year 2025. I'm absolutely pumped to see where this goes, and our improvement pivot point this week comes from watching the vast array of golf being played over the weekend. Obviously leading up to the Masters Week, which we're incredibly excited about. So we'll get back to the improvement pivot point, is how you can own your golf swing and actually work on your routines and watch these guys and watch someone like Harman play versus someone like a Brandt Snedeker. And our job is to try and keep it high and tight on how to get you to be a better golfer. And I can just kind of be very black and white on how I look at golf and how we can observe and obviously watch the week of the Masters, and you can actually improve and own your swing. News from the fairway. We had F1, we had Max Verstappen, Juggernaut, Red Bull. They won the F1 Japanese Grand Prix, and it was fitting because Suzuki's the last time the Power Pack's going to be charging that Red Bull. So well done, Max. Oscar and Lando second and third. So well done, McLaren. We had the Korn Ferry event, which was a fantastic little tussle. I actually half write this, just the points I'm going to make, and I half wrote that Mr. Lamb won, but then Jeremy Gandon got it done in a playoff, and I wasn't expecting that. And Ryan Lamb hasn't won since 2016, and I think this gets back to what James Niddies was saying, one of our guests a few weeks ago. There's so much more on the line when these guys win. And so I think Ryan got a little nervous coming in. You know, it's a hard thing to win one of your first PGA Tour events. And for Jeremy to win first pro win, I'm absolutely ecstatic for him. So that's pretty cool. Madeline Sagstrom won the LPGA match play event. And I just love the match play event. It's something that I've actually never played. I've never played in a competition any match play, so I'd be an absolute rookie there. And I think it's a fantastic event that brings out a completely different side to professional golfers. So well done, Madeline. DP Tour did not play, which leads us to the Live, which coincides with PGA Tour and obviously Masters Week this week. So we had a jam-packed Live event down at the Blue Monster down in Doral, down in Florida. Winds were howling. Course was set up extremely difficultly, and Bryson took into that third round quite a little cushion as he was, I thought, cruising to yet another victory. However, bloody Aussie, Marc Leishman had a 4-under bogey-free round, which at Doral's no small event, to win the event. Now, the point of why that's so impressive is bogey-free 4-under. But more importantly, as we record this, I don't think Marc Leishman's got a start in this week's Masters, which I think is appalling. Because at the end of the day, we want the world's best players playing when they are peaking. Usually they try and play in the top 50 around the majors. And so I want to see Marc peg it up this week in the majors. I don't think he has, which kind of leads us to the PGA Tour at the Valero Texas Open. Brian Harman, 2023 Open winner, gets it done at the Valero Texas Open, which is usually a hard and fast golf course, and it's blowing a gale. So the reason Hogan, who we've got pictures of Hogan around here and some of his old golf clubs, Hogan won the Open and used to hit the ball very low and flat and used to hit little flat hooks. Why? Because he grew up playing in Texas. Now, there's no surprises when that wind is howling this week, and it was just fantastic to see that, in my opinion, a PGA Tour event was won at 9 under. He won. He actually shot 3 over the final round, which was a tough, tough day. I want to see golfers and the best ball strikers and the best shot shapers win golf events. That's just something personal I like. So when it's howling breeze, I love that someone like Brian comes out and wins. As an ex-Open winner 2023, we know the guy can golf his golf ball in the breeze. And for him to keep under that wind, keep his ball flight controlled, was absolutely fantastic. So shout out, Brian. It's good to see you back in the winner's circle too, left-hander too. Now, where does this lead us to our improvement pivot point? Brian, phenomenal golfer, major winner, won the Texas Open Sunday. But I must say, dude, his pre-shot routine is excruciating. Goes for about 2 minutes. Now, the improvement pivot point is, how can we learn from these guys and girls playing on main tours? Well, we can learn from them because we can take what they do very well. A Scotty Scheffler is extremely quick when he's playing. Actually, Bryson's improved his play to be super fast. But Brian was 2.5 minutes of some of these pre-shot routines. The guy must have had about 15 waggles. Waggle, 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 look, waggle. The point is, ladies and gents, when you're playing your round of golf, for the other people on the golf course in the time you're playing, please, 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 have your pre-shot routine for about 15 seconds. So that is, by the time the club's next to you, so I always have my golf bag about 3 feet to the right of the golf ball every single time. I've done that for over 25 years. Why? Because if my bag is right here and I'm doing that 6 feet behind the ball, I can change clubs, and as I take the club out of the bag, I walk into the shot. The only time I have my pre-shot routine, obviously next to the golf ball, is when I'm chipping, so I'm trying to get a feel for that ground. But every other pre-shot routine, I've got the bag 6 feet behind the ball. My club is right here, so I pull the club and I walk into the shot. And as I walk into the shot, I'm trying to get a feel for start line, and I'm just trying to get a feel for the shot. I'm letting my eyes, people don't use their eyes enough on a golf course. Let your eyes dictate the shot you're about to play. So my point is, with the improvement pivot point and how we can learn, is watching Brian, and hell of a golfer, fantastic and a great guy and all the good stuff. But oh my God, I actually turned it off. I couldn't watch someone spend 2 minutes pre-shot routine. It was nauseating. It's nauseating for the players in your group, and it's nauseating if you're that slow on a public golf course or your member golf course. It's for the people behind you, because you slow up the play. And for a guy like myself who still gets out with my kids on public golf courses, it's, as beginners start to bring into this game, please, guys and girls, when you're starting to get into golf, make sure you play a quick round. Quick round's a good round. Now, someone like a Brandt Snedeker, who's 6 seconds from his pre-shot routine, that's probably a little bit full on. But we can get that pre-shot routine to about 15 seconds. So what I'd love to talk about to help you guys own your swing this week is that right now you should be able to write down your pre-shot routines. So I've got a little Remarkable here that I use for the podcast, and I can get my electric pen here. We should have a pre-shot routine. There should be about 7 of them. And the pre-shot routine should be chipping, pitching, putting, short game, bunkers, driver, recovery shots, under trees, over trees, that type of thing, fades and draws, and then just in a stock shot. And I throw in there a driver as well, just because for me, driver's always a little bit, I've got to exaggerate my feels. So you should have about 7 or 8 pre-shot routines that you should be able to write down. So as an example, I'm going to go through my putting routine. I plumb bulb where I'm going to pick my start line. And as I walk in, left hand goes on my quadricep. I always have my shoulders open, so I feel like I close my left shoulder. I take my stance somewhere near target line, putter face first, hold my hands upright, close my left shoulder, take my grip, look at the target line, trace the line back. When my eyes hit the ball, pull the trigger. My putting pre-shot routine's about 11 seconds. You should be able to dot bullet point about 7 or 8 things that occupies your brain so that you don't think of, oh, I'm 6 under with 3 to play, or I'm about to win my club champs, or I'm about to pre-queue for the USPGA, or whatever it is. The point of a pre-shot routine is to keep a consistent approach to your golf game. And every single golfer, from beginner to not, should have a pre-shot routine, and it will constantly evolve. My pre-shot routines now as a 26-year PGA guy is different to when it was when I first finished my apprenticeship and then went on tour. So the point is, the pre-shot routine quietens the brain to external factors. I'm about to win an event, I'm having a horrible round, I'm 6 under with 1 to play, whatever it is. You've got to have a pre-shot routine. And watching Brian, it was so long, it was crazy. Which then ties me to Augusta. This week, and today being the first round of the Masters, I've evolved as a Masters watcher. And the reason I tie this back to Brian is that Rosemary asked me three little factors on the drive in this morning. Why do you love Augusta so much? Well, as a kid growing up, I didn't play golf till I was about 17, right? But I watched the Masters ever since I can remember. And my first memory, and sorry, to the point, Rosemary said driving in this morning, why do you love it so much? And I love the Masters, excuse the noise here, we've got construction upstairs. Why do I love the Masters so much? Is because it's probably the strongest memory I have before I played golf. And to me, it was the colours. Now, Augusta's gone into a bit of Disneyland where they've made the golf course more important than the golf itself, which I find, as a golf lover and a guy trying to really grow the game, I've tailed off my Augusta love. But the Masters for me has 3 main memories. Tying back to Brian Harman and pre-shot routine, Greg Norman had a 6-shot lead going into the 96 Masters. And unfortunately, we know that off-golf course issues kind of curtailed Greg to win that, potentially to win that week, stuff that he'd done off the golf course. And Faldo never gave up. And Greg went from having a pre-shot routine, and I actually remember timing this, for about 30, 35 seconds, to having a pre-shot routine for over 1.5 minutes, nearly 2 minutes, certainly on the back 9 where he lost the Masters. And Faldo was kind of the last man standing. And having played with Nick a couple of times, who's an amazing individual and just a machine mentally, Greg's pre-shot routine undid him because obviously he was thinking about those off-course issues that he had that night before. So that's one. So what do I remember? Never give up. Faldo never giving up and putting pressure on a golfer with external factors kind of imploded, and that was an amazing event. Jack Nicklaus's 86 win at the age of 46, his last major to win his 18th. And we've actually got a replica of the exact putter he used, which if you take it down when you come in to swing, it's the most heinous looking putter. But Jack got it done, age 46, won the Masters for the 5th time. And so that was memory number 2. And then actually I've got 4. Memory number 3 was Adam Scott winning, first Aussie, back in 2013. Scotty, played some events with Scotty over the years and just a wonderful individual. To have an Aussie finally break through after Greg had narrow misses, that was amazing. And then Tiger's chip in. That ball rolling into that Nike sign, rolling into that 16th hole there, which kind of ties me to the Masters itself. It was that Nike ball rolled into the 16th. All of a sudden, to me personally, Augusta grabbed that moment and then made Augusta bigger than the game. And so what I'd love to see happen with the Masters is, instead of having a select field of 90-95, when usually, for instance, at the Texas Valero, 155 players peg it up. US Open, British Open, 150, 144 players peg it up. So the point is, at the Masters, they're starting to control it just a little bit too much, and they're trying to, and they should grow the game. The Women's Augusta Invitational should be played 3 rounds at Augusta, right? Marc Leishman should be playing at Augusta. They should have every top player in the world playing in every major, rather than having quartz in bunkers and painting grass and dyeing water. Present a true product and know that the game of golf is bigger than an entity. And so when Tiger held that chip, whilst it was an amazing feeling, I just wish that golf would be the winner rather than Augusta and the men of the Masters being the winner. And Spain's Carla Annette Escuda won the ladies' invitational there, but she should have played 3 rounds at Augusta National. You know, instead of having this smoke and mirrors of playing at the country club down the road, we want to grow the game. We want to say, hey, our golf course, we should be esteemed to have the world's best lady amateurs. They should be playing 3 rounds at Augusta National, you know, instead of having 30-odd players cut on a Saturday. And so our point is here at Swing is we should be growing the game and having everyone own their swing, and the way to grow the game is to break down all these barriers, right? And so Marc Leishman should be playing in the Masters this week. I just would love to see the world's best players play in the major when they're playing their best golf. And so we've only got a couple of live players who aren't pre-exempt for winners. And just on that, isn't it interesting, at the live event before the last round, we had all the Masters guys come to the 4A. And in that leaderboard, we had Mickelson, Pat Reed, we had Bryson, we had all these major winners who probably haven't been playing, John Rahm, who probably haven't been playing their greatest golf. But isn't it brilliant how the world's best golfers know when to peak for the majors, and all of a sudden their game starts to shine. And again, shout out to Leishman, who got it done amongst all those major winners. Leishman yet to win his first major. And so our job as golfers is to grow the game, and we want the world's best players to be playing in the Masters. So look, let's recap it. Love the whole Augusta, Georgia Masters event. It's the first major of the year. It always is every year. I just love to see the world's best players play. And so I'm rooting for, I'd love Bryson to win. I think his firepower compared to, say, someone like a Brian Harman, just 2 completely different games. I find always Augusta's going to be the weather. And if the weather's neutral, i.e. no rain and not a lot of wind, someone like Bryson, the Bombers, they're going to be hard to hit. It's going to be interesting to see Brooks Koepka play. A lot of the live players have put on a fair bit of weight, actually, which is interesting. Probably not training as hard as the PGA Tour guys. And I just don't think they're as physically fit. Who knows whether they're as mentally fit? We're about to find that out. But I think with Bryson's firepower on the second hole, par 5 down the hill, he's going to be hitting, he could be hitting as little as 8 and 9 irons into that if the course is hard and fast. Someone like a Brian Harman, as a lefty, he's going to hit a cut. He's probably going to hit a little 5-wood into that. And so Bryson's going to have at some holes 130, 140 yard advantage, which is insane. So something like 5 really long par 4. Bryson might have a 9-iron into that hole, whereas someone like Brian, just using guys in the 4A who won, even though he won the PGA Tour event last week, he's probably going to have 5-wood, even 3-wood into that 5th hole. So our job is to keep it super high and tight on the facts. And this week's Masters is going to be an amazing event because we haven't seen a lot of these live players. They've only played a couple of events, but it's lovely to have the world's best golfers back into the mix and playing that one major. Beauty golfers, look, you can absolutely own your swing with the work you put into your game off the golf course. So as the Masters, as you're watching it this week, just watch the pre-shot routine of all those players. Try and resemble the guys who are nice and quick. Bryson went from a very long pre-shot routine. He's a lot quicker player now. Try and watch guys like Brandt Snedeker. Try and watch guys who are nice and quick when they're playing. Brandt's not obviously playing this week, but watch those quick pre-shot routines like a Brooks Koepka or a John Rahm, and you'll see the difference between a Brooks and a Brian Harman, because that pre-shot routine has to be quick, pull the trigger out. And remember, newsletter drops on Friday, and jump on swing.com, share it to your mates, and remember, you can absolutely own your swing with the work you put into your game off the golf course. So watch the Masters, love the majors, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Cheers.